next speaker. Our next speaker is a youth leader who is very energetic and has a mischievous smile. He is a huge fan of cricket and he thinks that he can achieve more than what he can. Youth leader GuruVikram. Title of his speech, Life is a Pendulum. Life is a pendulum.
Am I audible? Yes. What is this? This is a pendulum with a small swing. And what is this? This is a pendulum with a big swing. To me, life moves like a pendulum. It has a starting point, moves forward, gains momentum, hits the peak, and comes back to square one. The swing may be slow, swift, or an incredible thrust. Fellow youth leaders, juvenile Toastmasters, and MOC, a warm good evening to you all.
Good evening.
Like most of the children, I grew up being fascinated by cartoon characters. I still love watching Tom and Jerry and Donald Duck. I used to listen to stories of Disneyland with great awe and wonder in my kindergarten days. So I used to pester my dad. Daddy, can we go to Disneyland one of these days? My father would be immediately annoyed. Guru, don't you have a limit for your dreams? Disneyland is to be watched only in cartoons or in movies. We cannot go there. Be a good boy. I used to wonder, what has this to do with me being a good boy? Then I used to try my luck with the next authority, my mom. And her usual response would be, my dear child, it takes lots of money and efforts for us to go there. So how about some close places like Ooty or Kodaikanal? I used to reply, but mom, there's no Disneyland in Ooty or Kodaikanal. Then the real fire would start. Dear kid, will you behave? I used to wonder, should I only have affordable dreams? The initial velocity of my pendulum had to face resistance. Those days, I've always heard my parents talking about shoestring budget. Whenever we had to go out, my father would be the first person to get out of home. Do you know why? Because he always needed time to start his bike. Yes, we used to ride on his 1989 model Yamaha bike, which was old enough to go to the scrapyard. He used to get on his bike and try kickstarting it many times. But the bike wouldn't start. Do you know why? Because it wouldn't have enough petrol in it. He would then try his great trick of tilting the bike close to the floor for a minute or so. Then he'd kickstart the bike. This time, the bike would start like an obedient child. We would then immediately jump on the bike and quickly ride to the nearest petrol bunk and have a refill. This fill would last until the next tilt. The momentum of the pendulum, in my father's case, was not rather adequate, I thought. But my father didn't let his living conditions get the better of him. He kept working on increasing the momentum of the pendulum. He turned all the obstacles into opportunities and became what he is today, a marketing and strategic planning director. From his Yamaha bike then to his Audi car now. I almost fulfilled my dream of visiting Disneyland in 2008, but failed repeatedly. Once when my father fell sick, and on the second occasion, my sister fell sick. Both the occasions, my pendulum swung back half the way. But all was for good, I guess. It was April 2009, my 12th birthday. I was in for an incredible experience that pushed my pendulum to complete its swing. My parents convinced children. How many of you here have been to an orphanage home? What I saw there touched me. For the first time I saw children whose lives were vastly different than mine. They had no families. They had no mom or dad, no sisters or brothers. I felt how fortunate I was to feel the love and warmth of my parents. I decided that day to make a difference in the lives of these unfortunate pendulums in my own humble way. Fellow youth leaders, when we hope to build a brilliant future for ourselves, these children have nothing to hope for except their next meal. I imagine myself to be in their shoes for a few seconds. I stood there, speechless. Fellow youth leaders, these little kids have a dream too, but they don't have anyone to share that with. Let's visit them whenever we can. Sit with them, smile with them, and share a meal with them. On that day, I received a priceless gift from my parents. They gave those kids clothes and treated them to a sumptuous meal. Surprisingly, this was just 1/10 of what would have cost my father to visit Disneyland. Fellow youth leaders, we are all strong pendulums thanks to our parents. But can we commit ourselves in making at least one such unfortunate pendulum start swinging? If we can, we will bring a difference in the lives of 25 million orphans in India alone. Remember, one day all the pendulums will stop for good. Before that sad moment strikes, let us do whatever we can to be remembered by posterity.